Okay, well, here we are at another episode of Seed Your Business with your hosts, Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law and myself, Jim Wozniak from Success Enhancement. And today our guest is Joe Kenny. Joe is a realtor with Realty Executives Midwest, and he also is a Darien alderman. And today's topic is using your sphere of influence to build business. As you know, people in trades like real estate and chiropractors and financial planners, kind of hard to differentiate yourself, so you really got to rely on your sphere of influence. So let's welcome Joe. Joe?
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, Joe.
My pleasure.
So did you become a alderman first and then a realtor, or a realtor and then an alderman?
No, I kind of became a realtor first and then an alderman, but I became a precinct captain in Darien. We call him committeeman where we're at, and wanted to be a good committeeman, so I started going to our homeowners association meetings to be a good committeeman. And while I was there, one of our presidents stepped down, and I got nominated to become the president of the homeowners association. They lined everybody up and looked for volunteer, and 10 people stepped back, and I was the only one standing left in line.
Ah, okay.
So I met with the management company, the manager, and he asked me how come I never had a real estate license. And my question was, well, why do you ask? And he says, well, you're very personable. He says, you know your way around, and you know more people than God. So that night I came home, explained to my wife, hey, somebody told me I should get into real estate. And my wife's exact words to me at that time were, oh my God, is that so you? I got a fast response from her that night than when I proposed to her. So I don't know if that's a problem or not.
You know that's interesting, because I had a similar conversation with my wife once, and she told me she'd like to see me get into real estate, but she meant like in a coffin, like 6 feet under. Anyway, so
having you two in the same room together is going to be interesting, because
be the TV show
comedy duo here.
Anyway, so using your sphere of influence, tell us, Joe, how has that worked for you? What have you done to create it, and have you tapped into it?
I think it's like everything else, and that's why I want to build my business by referral and whatnot. Kevin and I are in a couple of different organizations that tend to lend business back and forth to one another. If you look at the ladies when they have their hairdo and stuff, you ask a lady, hey, it's a nice hairdo. Where'd you get it done? Well, I got it done at Mary Joe's salon. Well, why'd you go to Mary Joe? Well, my girlfriend Susie told it. It's the same thing with that. Everybody knows who do you know. And my sister always laughs, jokes. Joe's got a guy. I got a guy for everything.
Right.
So I think that it's a lot easier to talk to somebody on a warm basis. Somebody you have a relationship, you have a rapport with. You maybe went to the same high school, same college, grew up in the same neighborhood, and they trust you. Whereas opposed to somebody who will pick up the telephone and start calling you, oh, I'm from California, I can help your business with this and that, but you don't know me. Kevin knows me. My Rotary brothers know me. My LeTip people know me. The guys I went to high school know me. And those are the kinds of people and the relationships you want to build with your business.
Every time we throw a party, I see you in the corner talking to somebody like who grew up in your neighborhood in Chicago or went to high school at the same high school, and you always seem to find that connection.
It's my shtick. I think that's one staple I always go back to. I always try to find out where somebody went to high school, whatever the case may be, and how it helps. And because like I said, it's the foundation where we all came from, and that's for me that's how that sphere of influence started long before I even became into sales.
Yeah, because you knew more people than God before you became a realtor.
Right. So
how did you develop it? Was it just you liked people and you said yes to party invitations?
Kevin, you and me, we talk about sometimes about the inferior complexes. Sometimes we talked the other night about a couple barroom incidents. Well, I was a kid. Where people wanted fighting at the end.
When I was in college, a lot of people wanted to pick fights with me in bars.
So I was a kid who got picked on a lot. Okay, so I don't know. I'm not so sure now. My memory is escaping me. Was it because I was such a smart aleck, or was I smart aleck so I wanted to kind of fit in? So I think because I went through this transition in my life where I was a kid who got picked on, I didn't want to be picked on. I wanted to be the go-to guy. I wanted to be the friend. I worked at getting. It's
actually a very similar background to what I had.
Yeah. Worked at getting liked. I wanted to be like what's it, Sally Field on when she got the Academy Award? They like me. They really like me. You know?
Right.
Yeah, and after a while, it just becomes second nature. You're not trying anymore, and you just like being around people. And
So maybe you could give us an example of how having the right realtor can really add value or help somebody accomplish something that maybe they would struggle with otherwise.
So I think what I bring to the table with the sphere of influence and the ability to talk to somebody on a one-on-one basis. For an example, there was a situation where we had an appraiser come through a house, and my sellers were just chewing their nails because on certain loans, like on an FHA loan, for example, they'll send an appraiser through the home to make sure that the home is up to code. There's not a lot of disrepair to it. It meets the guidelines. So we were sitting in the one house one day, and some years ago, and talking to the appraiser, and we realized that the appraiser didn't notice that the kitchen didn't have GFI outlets inside the kitchen. That could have been a factor that we might not, the buyer might not have got financing, or it would have cost my sellers another couple days to go hire an electrician to get out there. The reason the appraiser missed GFI outlets is because I found out he went to St. Rita High School on the south side, and we started talking. One thing led to another, and I'm sorry, it's not my fault he missed the GFI outlets. But I mean, I'm not saying I want to do that in a negative kind of way, but I think also in those examples too is that if you treat somebody well, and let's suppose that I did notice that the GFI outlets on it, maybe he could have turned around and because of your spirit, where you came from, your background, he'll say, "Oh, listen, I'm going to tell you what, I'm not going to write this in the report. Just do me a favor, make sure when you promise me you'll put the GFI outlets in, and you have a government, gentleman's handshake." And I think those go a long way. I mean, I know you're an attorney, and people tend to say, "Well, I'll just let my attorney know it." But I think sometimes with my sphere of influence and being able to get along with people on a one-on-one basis is a far better reach than trying to hire an attorney to to litigate stuff.
So what sort of advice would you give somebody who's just starting out and like they're an attorney, a realtor, financial planner, where they're trying to build this sphere of influence? How do you start? How do you maintain it? How do you stay in touch with people?
So here's what I do. There's a real estate education school out in the West Coast, Buffini and Company. And one of the cores with Buffini and Company is their database. And they talk to you when you first get in about that database. And you're taking that database and you're cutting it into fours. You're going A's, B's, C's, and D's. A's are the people you know the best, your close friends, those same high school guys that we're talking about. Your family. Those are the people that they trust you. They know you. You have no problem picking the phone up and calling them. "Hey, by the way, do you know anybody looking to buy or sell a home? If you do, would you give me a call?"
Mm-hmm.
B might be somebody that I met at one of Kevin's networking parties. That I know who they are, and we probably don't see each other as often, but they might refer me if given the chance, and learn how to. C might be somebody like Bill. Today's my first time meeting you. Say, Bill, in my database,
Jim.
I'm Jim.
I'm Jim. Yeah.
Yeah, he's moving down to D.
Hey, I've been called worse.
That's exactly. That's how we talk about. So great. I'm in politics and sales, and I can't remember name. That's not a good thing. We'll work on that for the next podcast, okay? But that would be a good case of a C. And then the D's are people you want out of your database. I laugh with Brian Buffini because Brian Buffini says D stands for delete.
Mm.
And those are the jackasses. What's worse than getting a referral from the jackass, or what's worse than dealing with the jackass, is a referral you get from the same jackass.
Mm.
So typically, so you want to basically put your databases A, B's, and C's, and you kind of want to weed through them. You don't want it's like your lawn at home. You don't want to just put the seeds down and go. It's kind of you're kind of nurturing it all the time.
So let's say you go to some function, networking event or social event or whatever. I mean, do you have a way you kind of decide who you're going to try to keep track of, or who you're going to meet, or do you try to meet everybody? I mean, how do you work the room? What's your strategy?
Something I think, and I learned this a long time ago. Went to one of the chamber, one of the chamber business after hours,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that they said was, a lot of these chamber after hours, you have the beverages, you have the appetizers and whatnot, and there are people that will go, get their fill on it. But what they would say was, go bring 3 or 4 business cards with you. Get those connections up. forth. Do your work first, and then come back and do the socialization aspect of it too. Always looking for power partners that we can possibly refer business back and forth to. But that being said, there are some power partners that I have today that I don't look for anything other. Like there's Chrissy Kavoris from First Advantage Mortgage is my mortgage person.
Mm-hmm. She's been a podcast guest before.
Has she? so Chrissy and I have got a great working relationships to the point where a lender may come to me and say, hey, let's go for coffee kind of thing, and those are the ones I'll say, hey, listen, I understand what you're trying. I'll take your card. I got no problem with it, but just know that I got a really strong relationship with my current lender right now, and so it I guess back to your question, Jim, it would all depend on the situation, what kind of group you're in. But you never know. You never know who's you're gonna benefit from. You never know if that person might not be a power partner for him, but his sister-in-law is going through a divorce. And hey, I just met a really nice guy this week. Maybe you want to talk to him. So I guess it all depends.
Sure.
I've used a program called Pipedrive to organize my database. It was something someone turned me on to, and it basically allows you to sort people into columns. It's similar to Salesforce, but I created columns for my power partner relationships, where the first column is we've had our first meeting, we don't really know each other from Adam. Second column is we've had our second meeting. Third is we're in a group together, so we're going to see each other regularly. And then we start getting into they've sent me a referral. Now they've been activated. The next one is they've sent me multiple referrals, and then the last one is they're a top referrer and they send me business all the time, and we really have a good stream going. And my goal is to get everybody advanced down that chart. And you're right, you only have room for so many people that you can truly be power partners with, that you're giving back what you're getting. So that top column better be really elite people.
Right.
But you don't want to spend a lot of time messing around past that second meeting. If you're at the second meeting and you can't find a way to integrate them into a group you're in, or they're not coming to your events, or they're not referring to you, then usually I just schedule like a follow-up in 6 months to touch base, and they stay stuck in that column. So.
And you can also put them in some kind of drip campaign,
Yeah.
With any kind of e-newsletters that you're sending out.
Yeah, make sure you stay in front of them
Right.
somehow. But how many lunches do you want to have with someone before you actually start doing business together?
How often do you reach out to your contacts with an e-blast or a newsletter or whatever?
So on a monthly basis, to get an e-newsletter from me. Once upon a time, I was writing a poem a month, and that became very labor intensive, and then some writer's block goes along.
I like that poem a month.
Goes along with that. My clients who close property with me, they get quarterly. They get a magazine mailed to the house. It's through Reminder Media. It's called American Lifestyle Magazine. It's a magazine that sits on a coffee table. It's got my picture, contact information in it. So that goes out there. I'm constantly picking the phone up and calling people if I see something that reminds me of somebody. There's a client I've got. It's a guy. This guy has really, really incredibly colored eyes, and there was a commercial for one of the, I think LASIK or something, looking for people for to do some kind of promotion. But it's one of those kinds of things. Sometimes it's not a systematic phone call. It's something that comes across. I think to somebody, hey, I'll shoot him a text message or whatever the case may be.
So you text that guy and say, "Man, your eyes are beautiful. You need to do this. Take my breath away."
I actually basically said, "Hey, I got something for you. You might put some money in your pocket. You may want to give me a call." then we don't want any evidence of me saying anything like that. Okay.
You said they had really interesting colored eyes. Were they like orange or purple or something?
I swear to God, they were like the blue. They're like the blue
Really?
off your shirt.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was just one of those kind of guys you just look at, like, wow, okay, cool.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's not go too far down the rabbit hole.
Right.
I stopped.
Okay, that's fine. So can you tell us about what you would consider one of the more unusual referrals or methods that you came upon a client that you helped them buy or sell a house?
I think and sometimes it's not what I did. It's sometimes just being in the right place. Some guy, I got a listing. I went to a for sale by owner in Darien, and as I was there was another realtor member came through, and he opened up the door and threw a can of coffee, into the house. with his business card on it. Hey, let's go, let's go sit down for a cup of coffee and talk about selling your house, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at the seller. The seller looked at me. He looked, you want to list my house? It wasn't my coffee. I'm like, sure. I mean, I was just there to look at the house, and so that's probably the most unique way that I've ever gotten a lead off of that. Now I'm trying to think from an actual referral standpoint.
Well, I'll tell you what. While you think about that, let me ask you another question, because this is something I've kind of wondered about. These realtors, many of them, they'll say something like, let me help you sell your house. But don't all the realtors put the room dimensions and the same pictures in the multi-listing? I mean, I don't know how somebody would help me sell my house different than somebody else.
Well, one of the things I typically do is, first off, you got to make sure that home is priced right. I don't care if your home is priced, if you get the nicest home in the world. And I always use example, if you were to build a home with solid gold brick bars, and the time of the gold was at $1,000 an ounce, but the public only wanted to give you $200,000 for your house. What was your house worth?
200,000.
200,000.
Tear it down and sell the gold.
Right. Okay. But you know what my mindset is on that 2,000. It's where you position the house on the market. That's the easy part about it. You're putting pictures on it, but what kind of picture are you using? Are you using a good quality photographer? I use the same photographer on the majority of my listings because it positions it in the market. I price it to where it's supposed to be priced at. I write verbiage. My verbiage is, I want, when someone's reading it, want to feel like that they want to be there. I'll talk about, cuddling up to a good book with a fireplace on a cold Chicago winter. I'll put those in my remarks. Sometimes agents in their remarks will put, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the actual description. And my theory on that is, well, you don't need to put 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the description because that's already above in the additional information where you talked about the room sizes and whatnot. And also sphere of influence. I'm pushing that out. I'll use social media. I'll buy ad space on social media. It'll pop up on my sphere of influences, Facebook pages. They see that I've got another listing, because of the ad space on it. They may know somebody who's looking to purchase. One of the things I will do if I take a listing in the city of Chicago, I will go through my sphere of influence and see, who's a police officer, who's a teacher, who's a Chicago firefighter. They have residency restrictions, and they have to live within the city. Mm-hmm. I can then pick the phone up and call a couple of my police friends. Hey, do you know anybody who want to live on the southwest side? I'm about to put a new house on. So that works. There are things where I can look at via my MLS system what certain agents may have certain buyers, and it's called a reverse prospecting, where I could turn around and say, hey, Susie Seller, your agent, you've been emailing your agent this same kind of property. I just put one on the market today. That might be a good fit for you. And I've made that. I've made that phone call, and that same call is turned around and bought that house on the weekend. So it depends on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. So any other pieces of business advice you want to share before we let you go, Joe?
And Kevin, I think you and I kind of talked about this the other day, from treating people right in this sphere of influence kind of thing. I know realtors, they, for the most part, they want to do the best they can for their clients, and they'll fight for the IT for them. But I think the problem lies is that they're doing whatever they can to get that deal to the closing table, but the next deal that comes through, they may be affecting their clients negatively, because I now know if I got a client that wants to purchase this guy's home, we got a couple of other homes we're going to look at first. We may look at those other homes first because I know that this transaction was so hard, and this guy fought so hard, and there was no, I didn't have any fun with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love calling up. One of the first things I do is when I pick a listing, if it's in a marketplace, I will go back to the agents I've done business with before and say, hey, Sue, I've got this great new listing. Hey, Liz, I got another listing in Garfield Ridge. I know you always got clients out there. I will call them first to let them know it's coming. The property's coming on because I like working with them. I think we should do that in all of our business. From whether it be real estate, legal, whatever the case may be. Because you don't want to be you're not working just for the sale today. You're also working for the sales in the future.
Good. Well, thanks for your time, Joe. How can people reach you if they want to reach out?
They can reach on the websites at joekennyhomes.com. They can reach me on Facebook at Joe's My Realtor. They can reach me at Joe Kenny on Twitter. They can call 630-334-2858. You just Google my name, and I'm sure you'll find me.
And you can reach me at on the seizeyourbusiness.com website. We've got all my and Jim's information. If you want to call me directly, my office line is 630-324-6666. And Jim, how can people reach you?
Well, my phone is 630-272-3895. And you can also look at my website, improv-4-business.com, because we're now using comedy to help businesses grow.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Pleasure
Thank
having
you,
you.
Joe.
Thanks, guys.
It's been a pleasure.